So in this video, I want to talk about the units for speed and the ones that we most commonly use. So again, you would probably split this up into metric and imperial. Now, the two for metric that probably comes to mind would be meters per second and kilometers per hour. Okay, so obviously used in slightly different contexts. Now, how they're written depends on who's writing it as well. So meters per second, you may well see like this. So meters per second with a backslash, almost to represent a fraction, really. Because remember that per, in the idea that we say percent, means divide by 100. So out of 100. So it's meters divided by seconds. How many meters you've gone in how many seconds. Okay, that's how you calculate it. So meters per second can be written like this, or you can write it as this. Now, what that means is meters over seconds as a fraction properly, okay? Because we understand that, well, if you haven't looked at the algebra section, then maybe you're unaware of this, but when I write 1 over s, which is the same thing as this, so I'm thinking about it like this, which is the same as this. And 1 over s is the same as s to the minus 1. Okay, so it's coming from what we utilise with algebra. So you may see either of those two really being used. Likewise, for kilometres per hour, you could write it as kilometres per hour like this, or kilometres per hour like that. Okay? Now, for imperial units, really the only one you see will be miles per hour. Now, miles per hour, sometimes you'll see as mph, and that's just standing for miles per hour. Okay? In scientific circles, this isn't particularly good because m is usually representing meters, okay? But you quite often will see mph being used. But you could also say miles per hour like that. But quite often, I think what you'll probably see is mph, or just written out as miles per hour, okay? Don't particularly like that one much. Okay, now what you need to be able to do is to convert between them. So meters per second to kilometers per hour, kilometers per hour to miles per hour, okay? And that's going to come down to, the kilometers per hour to miles per hour one is going to come down to that conversion between miles and kilometers. So remember that 5 miles is approximately 8 kilometers. Okay? So if you know that you're going 50 miles per hour, that's approximately 80 kilometers per hour. Okay? So it's quite an easy conversion to do, and it's very similar to when you're just converting between miles and kilometers. But if you're going from meters per second to kilometers per hour, let's say we had 30 kilometers per hour. And we want to write that as meters per second. Well, how do we do that? Well, the way to think about this is to write 30 kilometers per hour as 30 kilometers over 1 hour. Okay? Think of it like this. Then convert your numerator into meters and your denominator into seconds. So you want to think about it like 30 kilometers is 30,000 meters. And 1 hour, well, I know that that's 60 minutes. So I can now write it in meters per minute, but I want to get it into meters per second. So each minute is 60 seconds. So that would be 60 times 60 seconds. So I would do 30,000 divided by 60 times 60. And that's 25 over 3, which is 8.3 meters per second to 1 decimal place. Okay? So 8.3 meters per second. So this type of conversion you need to be able to perform, and I'll go through another example of that in the next video.